Look at yourself in the quiet of the morning before the noise of the world starts pressing in. The first thoughts you allow into your mind aren't just words, they are the blueprint for your actions, your mood, your entire day. Most people don't even notice the silent conversation happening in their heads when they wake. But those few who do, they hold a secret advantage over everyone else. What makes them different isn't luck or talent. It's the morning ritual of choosing their thoughts with intention. Imagine starting each day by telling yourself powerful truths that build your strength from within. Truths that can turn a difficult morning into a day of focus, courage, and progress. Why is this so important? Because the mind is most open at dawn. In those early moments, you can set your direction before the world tries to sway you off course. The right words, spoken early, become your armor against negativity and doubt. How can you use this secret? By learning what to say and saying it like you mean it. In this video, discover the exact phrases that can change your mornings and transform your life, one sunrise at a time. 1. You wake into a battle only you can see. You wake up each morning, and before you even lift your head from the pillow, a silent struggle has already started inside you. Before the world demands anything, before your responsibilities, your tasks, even your loved ones ask for your attention, something much quieter is already at work. There is a pull inside, subtle but powerful, that invites you to take the easy way out. It whispers that maybe you should stay in bed a little longer, worry about yesterday's failures, or shrink from what the day might bring. The first opponent you will ever face is not outside your door. It is within your own mind. As Lao Tzu said, "He who conquers himself is mighty." You don't repeat these words to seem clever. You repeat them because they are a shield against what most people never see, the hidden war between your highest self and your weakest impulses. Each morning, you must recognize that the path to greatness always starts on the battlefield of your thoughts. What exactly are you fighting every morning? You are fighting the doubts that say you are not enough, the hesitation that makes you freeze when you should move, and the old habit of surrender that tries to convince you it is easier to quit than to keep going. These forces are strong. They are the reason most people never even begin the day with true purpose. They lose the fight before the world even notices them. If you do not take control of your mind the moment you wake, something else will. Your old fears, your bad habits, and the noise of the world will move in and take over. Why speak to yourself with authority at dawn? Because that first conversation in your mind sets the tone for everything that follows. If you do not claim your mind at sunrise, the world will claim it for you. The day belongs to whoever makes the first move, either your weaker self or your stronger self. That's why you must say, with quiet certainty, "I will not bow to my lesser self today." It's not about never feeling afraid or uncertain. It's about refusing to let those feelings control your first decision. How do you actually hold the line against these invisible enemies? You do it by choosing discipline over emotion, resolve over comfort, purpose over ease. Each choice is a weapon in your arsenal. Discipline is what pulls you out of bed even when you would rather hide. Resolve is what keeps you going when every part of you wants to turn back. Purpose is what reminds you why you started, even when the path seems long or impossible. Every morning is a battlefield wrapped in silence. No one else can fight this war for you. You are the only one standing guard at the gates of your mind. The world may never see your struggle, but they will feel its results. When you win the battle within, you carry a presence, a quiet strength that others can sense even if they do not know its source. That strength shapes the way you walk, the way you speak, and the way you face whatever challenges come. So, tomorrow morning, when you wake and feel that old pull toward weakness, remember, the real victory is not over the world, but over yourself. The war is quiet, but the reward is unmistakable. Stand your ground, Claim your mind and let the day belong to your strongest self. 2. You are not the voice that tries to control you. You open your eyes and immediately a rush of thoughts pours in. Some are sharp, reminding you of things left unfinished or mistakes you can't forget. Others are heavy, pulling at your energy before your feet even touch the floor. Many of them you never invited at all. This is the hidden challenge of every morning. Your mind arrives already full, and not all of it serves you. You must remember a truth that has saved stronger people than you and me from being ruled by the chaos inside. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them." That wisdom is your lifeline. These thoughts, especially the anxious or negative ones, are not orders. They are not who you are. They are not the voice of fate. They are passing shadows. If you learn to see them as such, you will not bow to every whisper or panic at every passing cloud. What does this really mean for your life? It means you are not required to obey every voice that shouts for your attention. Just because a thought appears does not mean you must believe it or act on it. So many people let their day be shaped by the first emotion or memory that rises. But you know better now. You understand the mind's first reaction is rarely the wisest. It is just the loudest. Why do you need to remind yourself of this every day? Because the mind can be quick to believe its own noise. When anxiety, regret, or anger comes, it feels powerful and urgent. Your mind wants to take every thought seriously, as if each one is a crisis. But if you believe every story your mind tells, you will be pulled in 100 different directions and lose your sense of self before you even leave your room. How do you stand firm against these inner storms? The answer is simple, but it takes practice. Watch your thoughts like a spectator, not a servant. Imagine your mind as a river. Thoughts flow by, some fast, some slow, some churning up mud from the bottom. You can notice them without jumping in. You can let them pass by without letting them drag you under. This is where your strength lives, in the ability to step back and observe. Speak to yourself with conviction. These emotions can move through me, but they cannot move me. Say it when fear tries to take over. Say it when you feel the pull of anger, jealousy, or worry. This sentence is your anchor. It keeps you grounded when the tides of the mind want to sweep you away. By choosing not to react instantly to every thought, you reclaim your authority over your mind. This is where real calm begins, not by erasing all worry or sorrow, but by refusing to let them rule your life. The moment you realize that you do not have to believe or obey every voice inside your head, you gain a freedom few ever find. You become the steady observer, not the helpless servant. Each morning, reclaim this power. Remind yourself, thoughts are visitors, not masters. Emotions will come and go, but you decide who stays and who leaves. Stand watch at the door of your mind and choose what enters. That is how you begin every day, with true calm, real clarity, and the quiet strength to face whatever comes next. 3. You choose the meaning of today. Before you get out of bed, before your feet touch the floor, you are already shaping the day ahead. The most important thing you can tell yourself is this: I choose how I respond. This is the truth that divides the powerful from the helpless. Most people spend their lives feeling like they are being dragged along by events, moods, or the behavior of others. They react without thinking, letting outside forces shape how they feel and what they do. But you are not most people. You can train yourself to think and act differently. Viktor Frankl, a man who endured the worst that life can offer, said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies our freedom." That space is the difference between an animal and a human being, between someone who is ruled by their impulses and someone who is guided by their values. In that brief pause before you react, you hold the key to your own destiny. What is that space? It is the breath you take before you reply to an insult, the heartbeat you count before you let anger, fear, or sadness decide what comes next. It is the moment you look at your thoughts and ask, is this reaction truly mine, or is it just a habit I've learned? This pause may last only a second, but it can change everything. Why does this space matter so much? Because it is the place where you decide who is in charge of your life, you or your emotions. Most people give that power away every day. They let the outside world set their mood. They let stress or frustration spill out in words or actions they later regret. They think life is something that happens to them, not something they can shape. But every time you choose your response, you take back that control. You stop being a victim and become the author of your day. How do you practice this skill? Start by refusing to answer the world with haste, noise, or wounded pride. When someone pushes your buttons or a problem suddenly appears, don't rush to react. Breathe. Let the first wave of emotion pass. Ask yourself, what do I want to stand for right now? What would my best self do? This isn't weakness. It's real strength. It takes more courage to pause and choose than to lash out or shut down. Remind yourself each morning, nothing forces me to bend in ways I do not choose. Say it out loud if you have to. This is how a stoic, someone who masters their own mind, builds strength. Not just in dramatic moments, but in small, invisible pauses that most people never even notice. Every time you make that choice, you become a little stronger. You train your mind to act, not just react. Over time, you'll notice something amazing. Your days become calmer, your relationships improve, and your confidence grows. You are no longer just surviving the chaos of life. You are guiding yourself through it. You are the steady hand at the wheel, no matter what storm you face. Every day, the world will offer you hundreds of chances to give up your power, to let someone or something else decide how you feel and act. Don't let it. Claim that space. Guard it fiercely. That is where your freedom and your strength live, and that is how you give your own life its meaning, one choice at a time. 4. You set the standard, not the world. When you open your eyes in the morning, you're faced with a choice that shapes everything that follows. Most people never even realize this. They wake up and immediately begin reacting to the world around them, letting their mood, effort, and even their sense of self-worth be decided by whatever happens next. They look outside themselves for direction, for energy, for a reason to try. They let the day set the tone, instead of setting it themselves. The truth is, most people drift wherever the current carries them. It's not because they are weak or bad. It's because they never learned a better way. But you are here to live differently. If you want true strength, if you want to grow and build the kind of life you can respect, you must set your own standard before the world tries to set it for you. You cannot let comfort, convenience, or the expectations of others decide who you will become. You must be the one who chooses what matters most to you and then do whatever it takes to live up to it. Epictetus, one of the wisest voices of the ancient world, once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." When I first read those words, they hit me like a challenge, one that echoes every single morning. Before the world asks anything of you, you must first decide what you will demand of yourself. Why is this inner declaration so powerful? Because it binds you to something higher than comfort or convenience. Most people walk the path of least resistance. If the world expects little of them, they deliver little. If their friends accept laziness, carelessness, gossip, or anger, they slip into those habits too, just to fit in. The world whispers, relax, blend in, do what everyone else is doing. But you cannot let that voice be the loudest one you hear. You are not here to blend into the background. You are here to build a life that stands for something, starting with the standards you set for yourself each morning. Without a standard of your own, you become whatever the day pressures you to be. The loudest voices, the easiest path, the quickest escape, they're always waiting. If you let the world decide your limits, you will shrink to fit them, collapsing into the space that others leave for you. But if you declare your standard first before the world can try to lower it, you bind yourself to a different code, one built on discipline, purpose, and quiet strength. So, how do you hold this standard? Not just today, but every day. You do it through self-governance. This means leading yourself even when no one is watching. It's easy to show up on time when someone else is counting on you, but true discipline means showing up for yourself, doing the work with care, treating others with respect, and following through on your promises not because you're forced to, but because you expect it of yourself. This is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Consistency is what shapes character. You hold the line when it would be easier to let it slip. You keep your promises to yourself, no matter how small they seem. And when you fall short, which you will, because you're human, you don't make excuses. You adjust, learn, and try again. Every day is another chance to recommit to your standard. Each morning, remind yourself, I will not wait for the world to raise my bar. I raise it myself. This becomes your quiet oath. You do not compare your effort to the weakest or the loudest voices around you. You do not slow down because others have lost their drive. If you see others giving up, use that as fuel to go even harder. You are here to inspire, not to imitate. Strength is not built in those who lower their standards just to fit in. It grows in those who refuse to do so, no matter how tempting it might be. The world will always test your resolve. You will face days when shortcuts and excuses seem so easy, when it feels like nobody cares about what you do or how you do it. But your standard is not about recognition or praise. It's about the person you become every time you choose to do what's right, especially when nobody is watching. Setting your own standard is not always easy. There will be moments when it feels lonely, when everyone around you is cutting corners, or when you're the only one holding yourself to a higher code. But those are the moments when real character is forged. Those are the times when you learn what you are truly made of. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be, even when it's hard? What would I be proud to say I stood for, even if no one else ever noticed? Write down your answers if you need to. Make them your compass for the day ahead. Then, as you step into the world, stand tall. Let others drift if they want to. You are not the product of their choices. You are the architect of your own life. If you slip, start again. If you fail, learn from it and keep going. Each time you return to your standard, you become a little stronger, a little more resilient. Do not let the world convince you that good enough is good enough. Excellence is a habit, not an accident. It is built in the quiet decisions you make when nobody else is watching. When you choose to do what is right, to go the extra mile, to act with honor, even in the smallest things, you build the foundation for greatness. Over time, people will notice. They may not say it, but they will feel it. Your consistency, your quiet strength, your refusal to lower yourself, they become a silent example, inspiring others to raise their own standards. And if they never do, it doesn't matter. You are not here for applause. You are here to build a life you respect. So tomorrow morning and every morning after, remind yourself, I will not let the world decide how high I can reach. I set my own standard, and I rise to meet it. That is how you build true strength one day, one choice, one promise to yourself at a time. That is how you become the kind of person you can be proud of, no matter what the world expects. 5. You turn hardship into your greatest weapon. You wake up, and even before the world can reach you, you already feel the weight of what you must face. Some days, it's heavy. Maybe it's the ache of a loss, the sting of disappointment, or the anxiety of not knowing what comes next. You might wish for things to be easier, for life to finally give you a break, but you must remind yourself of one truth, perhaps the most important of all. Hardship will find you no matter how carefully you plan, how hard you try to avoid it, or how much you hope it stays away. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the obstacle becomes the way. He was not speaking as someone untouched by struggle, but as an emperor carrying the burdens of an entire empire, facing wars, betrayal, sickness, and the knowledge that everything he built could be lost in an instant. Still, he understood that pain, difficulty, and setbacks are not curses. They are the raw material from which greatness is built. What does this mean for you? It means nothing you fear, nothing that hurts you, nothing you struggle with is wasted if you face it with purpose. Every hardship, no matter how unwelcome, has the potential to become the very thing that shapes you into who you are meant to be. Fear becomes a lesson. Failure becomes feedback. Suffering becomes fuel. You might wonder, why say this to yourself every morning? Why repeat such a hard truth? Because hardship usually arrives before you feel ready. No one is ever truly prepared for pain. It shows up suddenly, tests your limits, and demands answers you don't always have. If you do not prepare your mind, hardship will catch you off guard and break you down. But if you start each day expecting challenge, you cannot be defeated by it. You will be ready not for an easy life, but for the strength to endure whatever comes. So how do you transform hardship into your greatest weapon? You begin by making a promise to yourself. What stands in my way will shape me, not shatter me. It's a simple sentence, but it changes everything. When you face a problem, you don't ask, why me? Instead, you ask, how can I use this? When pain finds you, you don't run from it or pretend it doesn't exist. You stand your ground, look it in the eye, and let it teach you what comfort never could. Every challenge becomes raw material for growth. Imagine the greatest athletes, the wisest leaders, the people you most admire. None of them were shaped by comfort or by taking the easy road. They became strong because they chose to let difficulty forge them into something better. Every discomfort becomes training, a chance to practice patience, courage, humility, or resilience. When you are forced to do what is hard, you discover you are capable of far more than you believed. Every setback becomes a sharpening stone against your spirit. When things go wrong, when plans fall apart, when you lose what you thought you could never live without, you are given a choice. You can let the loss define you, or you can use it to refine you. It is easy to be positive when everything is going well. True strength is shown when you keep going in the darkness, when you keep moving forward even though every part of you wants to give up. This is not about pretending. Pain is pleasant. Hardship is not enjoyable. It hurts. It can make you want to retreat, hide, or numb yourself. But if you numb the pain, you also numb the lessons. If you avoid struggle, you also avoid the growth it brings. The path to becoming unbreakable does not run around suffering. It goes straight through it. Think about it. Steel is only made stronger by fire. Diamonds are formed under pressure. The tallest trees are the ones that have stood against the fiercest winds. In the same way, you will not become your strongest self by avoiding what is hard, but by embracing it and learning to stand taller because of it. Every day, remind yourself, I am not here to avoid difficulty. I am here to absorb it, to be shaped by it, to turn it into the strength I will need tomorrow. When something hard appears in your path, a harsh word, an unexpected failure, a painful goodbye, see it for what it is, training for your character. Do not let it break you. Let it teach you. This doesn't mean you won't feel pain. You will. It doesn't mean you won't struggle or sometimes want to quit. Everyone does. But the difference between the weak and the disciplined is what they do with their pain. The weak let it become an excuse, a reason to give up or complain. The discipline, let it become fuel, a reason to push forward, to build grit, and to become impossible to defeat. Remember, you cannot choose the obstacles life places in your way, but you can always choose your response. You can choose to see each one as an enemy or as a teacher. You can decide to let hardship turn you bitter or to let it turn you into someone who is wise, patient, and strong. This is the quiet victory you win each morning, not by avoiding the storm, but by walking into it with your head held high, knowing that every step through hardship is a step toward becoming the person you were meant to be. Every scar is proof that you have survived what others could not. Every challenge you face is a new chance to turn pain into power, fear into courage, and defeat into discipline. So when you rise, do not ask for an easy day. Ask for the strength to meet whatever comes with courage and resolve. Ask to be shaped, not shattered, by the tests ahead. Know that whatever stands in your way today is also building the strength you will need for tomorrow. You are a warrior in training, forged by fire, refined by struggle, and destined for greatness, not because life spared you from pain, but because you turned every hardship into your greatest weapon. 6. You refuse to be ruled by desire. You wake up, and almost immediately the voices begin. They are quiet, sometimes barely noticeable. The first voice says, "Stay in bed, rest a little longer." The next says, "Reach for comfort, avoid the hard work." Another whispers, "You deserve a reward, indulge yourself." And as the day unfolds, more voices join in, tempting you with distractions, pushing you toward what is easy, inviting you to seek the approval of others. These desires are relentless. They try to take command of your thoughts, shape your actions, and slowly wear down your willpower before the day has truly begun. It is easy to believe that the urge for comfort, pleasure, or approval is just part of being human, and in many ways it is. But you must also remember that every urge, every craving, every impulse, no matter how natural it feels, is a test of your self-mastery. Seneca, the ancient philosopher, understood this well. He said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." These words have survived centuries because they reveal a truth that few people want to face. Real poverty is not the lack of possessions, but the lack of self-command. What does this mean for your life? It means that real wealth, the kind that cannot be stolen, broken, or lost, is found in your ability to control yourself. The richest person is not the one with the most, but the one who needs the least to be content. This is a radical idea in a world where everyone is encouraged to want more, to reach for the next distraction, to compare themselves to others and feel lacking. But you are not here to be ruled by these desires. You are here to master them. Why repeat this lesson every morning? Because desire always arrives before discipline is awake. The pull of comfort, distraction, and easy praise does not wait for you to be ready. It attacks at your weakest, most unguarded moments. If you are not careful, your day will be shaped by impulses you barely notice. You will find yourself chasing things you do not need, avoiding the challenges that would make you stronger, and measuring your worth by what others think of you instead of what you know about yourself. How do you begin to resist this? Start by meeting every craving, every urge, every temptation with a single, honest question. Does this make me stronger or weaker? When you want to stay in bed, ask yourself if it will build your discipline or dull it. When you reach for a distraction instead of facing your responsibilities, ask if it brings you closer to your goals or pulls you further away. When you crave praise or approval, ask if you are growing or if you are just seeking comfort. You speak quietly to yourself, even if no one else can hear. I do not chase what I want, I choose what I need. That is your quiet rebellion against a world that tells you to seek pleasure above all else. It is a declaration that you will not be pulled and pushed by every passing feeling, that you will stand firm against the flood of wants that threaten to drown your purpose. Think about how much energy is lost each day in pursuit of things that do not matter. How much time is wasted trying to impress others, to keep up, to numb yourself with pleasures that quickly fade. Each time you say yes to an unnecessary desire, you say no to your own growth. Each time you let a craving guide your actions, you hand over your freedom. Real freedom is not found in fulfilling every urge, but in outlasting them. It is found in the quiet moments when you feel the pull of temptation and choose to let it pass without acting on it. The more you practice this, the stronger you become. At first, it may feel impossible, like denying water to a thirsty traveler. But over time, you will notice something remarkable. The urges lose their power. The voice that once screamed for comfort or distraction grows quieter. Your discipline awakens, and with it comes a sense of peace that cannot be taken away. It is not about denying yourself all pleasure or never enjoying life. It is about learning the difference between want and need, between momentary comfort and lasting strength. When you learn to choose what is necessary over what is easy, you begin to respect yourself in a way that no external reward can match. You become someone who is hard to distract, difficult to manipulate, and impossible to defeat with simple temptations. Every day, you are surrounded by people who are ruled by their desires. They rush from one pleasure to the next, rarely satisfied, always searching for more. Their moods rise and fall with every new craving, their self-worth tied to things they cannot control. But you are building something different. You are building an inner fortress, a place where discipline, purpose, and true contentment live. Whenever you feel the urge for comfort, distraction, or approval, pause, take a breath. Remember Seneca's wisdom. Remind yourself that each craving is a test, a chance to build your strength instead of wasting it. With every urge you outlast, you add a brick to the foundation of your freedom. With every temptation you resist, you become more of the person you were meant to be. Do not chase what you want. Choose what you need. That is how you cut the chains of longing before they can tighten. That is how you claim the only kind of wealth that truly matters, the wealth of self-command. You gain this not by avoiding pleasure altogether, but by refusing to let it rule you. You do not serve your desires. They serve you, or they are dismissed. In this way, you step into each day a little freer, a little stronger, and much harder to defeat. You are not here to be a slave to every urge. You are here to master yourself. And that mastery begins the moment you choose discipline over desire, need over want, strength over comfort, again and again, for as long as you live. 7. You guard the company you keep, including your own mind. When you step into a new day, one of the most important choices you make is not what you do, but who you allow to shape your life. You already know that the people around you leave their mark on your habits, your thoughts, and your future, even if you don't see it happening at first. The right company can lift you higher, but the wrong company can drag you down, slowly and quietly. And what most people never realize is that your own mind is part of your company too. The old philosopher Socrates once said, "Be slow to fall into friendship, but when thou art in, continue firm and constant." He was talking about the need to be careful with the bonds you make, to be loyal and wise about who gets close to your heart. But his words reach even deeper. Each morning, you have to decide not just what kind of friends you want, but what kind of friend you will be to yourself. Are you your own ally? Or do you betray yourself with every thought, doubt, or criticism? What does this mean for you? It means that every day, your inner dialogue, the silent conversation you have with yourself, can either build you up or tear you down. Most people never pay attention to this voice, but it is always there. Sometimes it encourages you, telling you to keep going, to get up after you fall, to try again even when you feel like quitting. But sometimes it does the opposite. It fills your mind with complaint, self-pity, or envy. It whispers that you aren't good enough, or that you'll never change, or that you are less than those around you. Why do you need to remind yourself of this every single day? Because your greatest ally or your worst enemy is the voice you cultivate within. The world outside is loud, but the mind is louder. And if you are not careful, you can become your own worst critic, your harshest judge, your most toxic companion. The mind repeats what you feed it, and over time, those repeated thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs become actions. Actions shape your destiny. You must act on this truth with intention. You do it by refusing to feed yourself the poison of complaint, envy, or self-pity. Every time you catch yourself thinking, I can't do this, or I'll never measure up, or it's not fair that others have it easier, you have a choice. You can let those thoughts multiply, or you can stop them and replace them with something stronger. Ask yourself, would I say this to my closest friend? If not, don't say it to yourself. Speak with honesty, yes, but also with the belief that you can grow. Remember this, I am the company I keep, even in solitude. When you are alone, the thoughts you repeat become your companions. If you fill your mind with regret, anger, or jealousy, those will be your closest friends. If you fill your mind with purpose, gratitude, and determination, those will be the voices that travel with you wherever you go. The people you choose to spend time with matter. If you spend your days with people who are negative, lazy, or cruel, it will affect you even if you think you are immune. Their habits will rub off. Their standards will become yours. Their doubts will become your doubts. That's why you must be just as careful with the friends you keep as you are with the thoughts you think. If you want to grow, surround yourself with people who push you to be better. Look for friends who are disciplined, who tell the truth, who hold themselves to a higher standard. Seek out those who encourage you, who challenge you when you make excuses, who remind you of what you are capable of. Let go of those who pull you into gossip, negativity, or small thinking. It isn't always easy. Sometimes it means being alone for a while. But solitude is better than company that pulls you away from your purpose. And in those moments of solitude, you will learn the most about yourself. What do you say to yourself when nobody else is listening? Are you your own supporter, or do you sabotage yourself at every turn? The world is full of people who look strong on the outside, but lose every battle in their own mind. Do not be one of them. Be your own firm and constant friend. To do this, pay attention to the patterns you repeat. If you notice yourself slipping into self-pity, complaining about things you cannot control, or comparing yourself to others, pause. Ask yourself, is this sharpening me or dulling my edge? Your mind is a garden. What you plant, you will eventually harvest. Plant the seeds of discipline, courage, and optimism. Uproot the weeds of doubt and resentment as soon as they appear. Change does not happen overnight. But each time you choose a better thought, you strengthen your mind's resolve. Each time you encourage yourself instead of tearing yourself down, you build the habit of resilience. Over weeks and months, you become someone who is hard to discourage, difficult to defeat, and capable of withstanding storms that would break others. The most important relationship you will ever have is with yourself. No one else spends as much time in your mind as you do. So choose to be a companion who lifts you up, who speaks the truth, who refuses to let you settle for less than you are capable of. Be someone who forgives yourself for mistakes, but never lets you stay small. Be the voice that reminds you of your purpose when you are tempted to drift. Guard the company you keep. Guard the thoughts you repeat. And never forget, you become what you allow into your life, both from others and from within. Choose wisely, act deliberately, and become the kind of person, inside and out, who is worthy of respect. That is how you win the battle for your own mind and how you make every day an opportunity to grow, no matter what comes. 8. You accept what cannot be changed and shape what you can. Every day you wake up, you step into a world that will test your patience, your discipline, and your ability to remain steady. No matter how carefully you plan or how much you hope, some things will simply never be under your control. Maybe it's the weather, a sudden storm that cancels your plans, the heat that slows you down, or the cold that bites through your best efforts. Maybe it's fate, unexpected events, accidents, losses, or even just the way life sometimes seems to move against you. Or maybe it's the decisions of others, someone's harsh words, someone letting you down, someone choosing a path that hurts you or those you love. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that if you just try hard enough, you can bend everything to your will. But deep down, you know this isn't true. There are forces in life that simply do not care about your wishes, your plans, or your timeline. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it this way: make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. This is the dividing line between strength and exhaustion, between living with purpose and living in endless frustration. So what does this mean for you? It means you refuse to waste your energy fighting what cannot be changed. You do not spend your days complaining about the weather, raging against fate, or trying to control the choices of others. You recognize that your time and energy are precious, and you save them for the battles you can actually win. Every moment spent wishing things were different is a moment lost to shaping what you can actually influence. Why is this lesson so important to remember each morning? Because frustration is born in the gap between what you wish and what reality gives. You get angry because things are not going your way. You get anxious because you can't see the future. You feel powerless because someone else makes a choice you wish they wouldn't. But when you accept that not everything is up to you, you suddenly free yourself from a huge burden. You stop blaming the world for your problems and start looking for what you can do with what you have. How do you practice this in real life? You start by drawing a line for yourself each morning. I will give everything to what I can control and let the rest pass. Say it out loud if you have to. Write it down if it helps. The point is to remind yourself, before the chaos of the day even begins, that you have a choice. You can exhaust yourself resisting reality, or you can put your energy into shaping your own actions, your own attitude, and your own effort. This is not surrender. There's a big difference between acceptance and giving up. Acceptance means you see things as they are, not as you wish they would be. It means you don't waste your power fighting the ocean, but instead, you learn to sail on its waves. Surrender is what happens when you stop trying at all, when you give up your own agency and let life toss you wherever it wants. Acceptance, on the other hand, is active. It is a fierce focus on what is truly yours to shape. Peace is not passivity. It's not about sitting back and doing nothing. It is about moving through the world with your eyes wide open, with the courage to face what you cannot change and the strength to change what you can. It is about being calm in the middle of the storm, not because you pretend the storm isn't real, but because you know how to steer your own ship. To practice this way of living, begin by noticing every time you get frustrated, worried, or upset. Ask yourself, is this something I can actually change, or is it out of my hands? If it's out of your hands, let it go. If it's within your control, take action. This might sound simple, but it's one of the hardest habits to build. Your mind will always want to blame the outside world for your problems. It's easier to blame the weather, fate, or other people than it is to take responsibility for your own thoughts, words, and actions. But every time you choose acceptance, you grow a little stronger. You start to see that most of what happens outside of you doesn't have to control what happens inside of you. You learn to bend, but not break. You become flexible, but not weak. You develop the kind of resilience that can survive setbacks, losses, and disappointments not because they don't hurt, but because you refuse to let them control your spirit. Think about the difference this makes in your life. If someone treats you unfairly, you don't waste time plotting revenge or replaying the hurt over and over in your mind. You accept that you cannot change their choices, but you can choose how you respond with dignity, with patience, or by setting boundaries if you need to. If a plan falls apart because of things beyond your control, you do not collapse into despair. You look for the next opportunity, adjust your sails, and keep moving forward. When you live this way, you move through the world not as a victim of circumstance, but as the master of your own conduct. You become a person of action, not reaction. You gain a kind of quiet strength that others notice, even if they can't explain it. You stop wasting energy fighting battles that can never be won, and you use that energy to build, to grow, and to create the life you want within the limits of what is possible. Every morning, remind yourself, some things are not mine to control, and that's okay. My job is to shape my own actions, to protect my own attitude, to give my best effort no matter what happens outside of me. This mindset does not make you weak or passive. It makes you unstoppable in the ways that truly count. You do not ignore reality. You face it with open eyes and an open heart. You accept what you cannot change, and you shape what you can. That is where peace and power meet, and that is how you become unbreakable no matter what the world throws at you. 9. You commit to action, not just intention. You look around and notice a strange thing about people. So many are stuck in the fog of what they intend to do. Their minds are full of dreams, hopes, and good plans, yet their lives never seem to change. They talk about what they want, what they'll accomplish, who they could become, but they spend most of their time waiting for the perfect moment to start. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and suddenly the future is only a story they tell themselves, never something they actually build. You must not become one of them. It is a trap that catches millions thinking about life instead of living it, planning instead of acting, wishing instead of doing. The truth is simple, and it cuts through every excuse. Action is the only thing that moves you forward. Knowledge is useless unless it's put to work. Intention is empty unless you turn it into effort. Goethe once said, "Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do." These words matter every single morning because purpose fades quickly if you don't put it to use. Your good intentions are like seeds. If they sit on the shelf, nothing grows. Only when you plant them, when you act, do they turn into something real. What does this mean for your life? It means that your mind, your character, and your spirit only become stronger through the friction of action. Just as iron is sharpened by contact with stone, you grow only by doing, by struggling, by practicing, even if your first steps are clumsy or uncertain. You can read every book, make every plan, and say every prayer, but none of it will change you if you never step out of thought and into the world. Why remind yourself of this every morning? Because the pull of comfort and the fear of failure are strongest at the start of the day. It's easy to imagine all you might do someday. It's much harder to pick up the phone, tie your shoes, or start the work that needs to be done. Yet every single person who has ever changed their life, every person you admire, has faced that same moment and they chose to act. The longer you wait, the heavier your dreams become. They turn from possibilities into regrets, from sparks of excitement into reminders of what you didn't do. So each morning, you must make a promise to yourself. I will not live in the world of intention. I will move even if I am afraid. I will act, even if I am unsure. I will give my dreams a chance to become real by taking the smallest step I can right now. That's the secret. Don't wait for courage or for inspiration to show up. They follow action, not the other way around. You tell yourself, I do not wait for courage. I move, and courage follows. The first step is always the hardest, whether it's waking up early, speaking up for yourself, reaching out to someone you respect, or facing a problem you've ignored. But each act, no matter how small, sets your life in motion. Ask yourself at the start of every day, what is the smallest step I can take right now? Maybe it's making your bed, writing a single paragraph, drinking a glass of water, or sending one message you've been putting off. Don't underestimate these actions. Small steps build momentum. They clear the fog of intention and help you see the next move, then the next, until you find yourself far down a path you once thought was out of reach. You will see others hesitate, paralyzed by the idea that everything must be perfect before they begin. Perfection is a mirage. It keeps you stuck, waiting for the world to line up in your favor. The Stoic knows that the world is rarely perfect, and neither are you. But you become stronger, wiser, and braver by doing, not by waiting. Each time you act, you teach yourself that you can handle more than you thought. Each time you finish what you start, you build trust in your own hands. Of course, not every action will bring success right away. Some efforts will end in failure, disappointment, or frustration. But even these are better than inaction, because they give you something to work with, a lesson, a bit of feedback, a mark of progress. Failure in motion is always better than perfection in your imagination. Every day, you prove your worth not by what you think, but by what you do. People will remember you for the work you put into the world, for the promises you keep, for the kindness you show, and for the problems you solve. Your intentions are invisible. Your actions are unforgettable. There's another gift in action. It crowds out anxiety and overthinking. When your hands are busy building, fixing, helping, or creating, there is less room in your mind for worry or self-doubt. You feel alive, needed, and real. You discover that action is the cure for most fear. When you move, you stop being the victim of your own thoughts and become the author of your own story. So don't let this day pass you by. Don't let your goals remain trapped in your imagination. Choose something, anything that moves you closer to who you want to be. It doesn't matter how small the step is, only that you take it. The path to greatness is not built in a day, but in 1,000 small decisions to act again and again. Every morning, renew your vow. I do not wait for courage. I move, and courage follows. Remember that the person who acts, even clumsily, is always ahead of the person who waits for everything to feel right. Trust that action breeds growth, and growth brings the life you want. You become what you do, not what you wish. Let every day show proof of your intentions through your actions. Make your thoughts visible in the world, one step at a time. That is how you turn purpose into power and hope into reality. 10. You end each day with integrity so you can begin again tomorrow. When you open your eyes each morning, you know that the hours ahead will test you in ways you cannot predict. You might be challenged by people who are careless, by situations that are unfair, or by temptations that try to pull you away from your best self. You will be tested by your own doubts, by the urge to take shortcuts, and by the little voice that says, just this once, it doesn't matter. But deep inside, you already know the truth. How you finish this day is just as important as how you begin. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who faced struggles greater than most can imagine, once wrote, just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. This is the simplest, most powerful reminder you can carry into your day. The world is full of distractions, excuses, and reasons to give up. But only one thing matters in the end: doing what is right. What does this mean for you as you move through your day? It means that peace at night is earned by integrity in the day. You cannot expect to sleep with a clear mind if you have lived with a divided heart. You cannot find true rest if your spirit is weighed down by guilt or regret. Every little decision, whether to speak honestly, to keep a promise, to help when it's inconvenient, or to stick to your principles when nobody is watching, adds up. These small moments of integrity form the foundation of your strength. Why should you make this your last promise each morning before you step into the world? Because only a clear conscience can rest, and only rest can renew your strength. Too many people go to bed with their minds racing, haunted by what they failed to do or by what they did wrong. They toss and turn, replaying mistakes or wishing they could undo a careless word or a selfish action. But you can give yourself something much greater: the peace of knowing you tried your best to do the right thing, even when it was hard. How do you ensure you live this way? You start with a vow, made in the quiet of the morning. I will leave nothing undone that honor demands. I will forgive myself, but never excuse myself. This means you do not turn away from your responsibilities. If you owe someone an apology, you make it. If you promise to help, you show up. If you see a chance to do good, you do not wait for someone else. You refuse to leave any loose ends that your conscience would trip over at the end of the day. But you also know that you are not perfect, you are persistent. Mistakes will come. Some will be obvious, and you will regret them right away. Others will be small, easy to ignore or excuse, but you will notice them in the quiet moments before sleep. The standard is not perfection. The standard is how fiercely you return to the right path after you have wandered. When the day is done and you look back on your actions, do not measure yourself only by what went wrong. Instead, ask, did I make things right where I could? Did I apologize when I was wrong, forgive when I was hurt, and stand up for my values even if it cost me? Did I choose honesty over convenience and kindness over comfort? Did I leave nothing undone that honor demanded of me? Ending your day with integrity is not about being perfect or never failing. It is about being honest with yourself, about refusing to make excuses, and about fixing what you can before the day is over. If you failed, own it. If you hurt someone, reach out and try to mend it. If you broke a promise to yourself, resolve to do better tomorrow and take one small step to prove that you mean it. Forgiving yourself is just as important as holding yourself accountable. If you carry every mistake like a weight on your back, you will eventually lose the energy to move forward. But forgiving yourself does not mean pretending you did nothing wrong. It means learning the lesson, making amends, and letting go of what you cannot change. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can shape tomorrow by how you respond today. When you practice this day after day, you find that your evenings grow quieter and your sleep grows deeper. Your mind is not troubled by guilt or unfinished business. Instead, you have the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you did your best with what you had. Even if you fell short, you gave your full effort to rise again. This is the kind of peace that cannot be bought, only earned. Living with integrity means building trust not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you keep your word, follow through on your responsibilities, or choose what is right over what is easy, you make it more likely that you will do it again tomorrow. You teach yourself that you are someone who can be counted on no matter how small the task. This trust in yourself is the root of true confidence, and it grows with every day you end well. Remember, it is not the world's approval that gives you peace, it is your own. At the end of each day, you alone know the truth of your actions. Did you do the right thing? Did you correct your mistakes? Did you leave nothing undone that your heart knows should have been finished? If you can answer yes, even if the day was difficult, You have succeeded in the only way that truly matters. So as the sun sets, look back, not with harsh judgment, but with honest reflection. Thank yourself for the effort. Forgive what cannot be changed. Fix what you still can, and promise to begin again tomorrow with the same commitment to integrity that brought you this far. Your life is not defined by a single moment, but by the pattern of choices you make day after day. Finish each day with honor so you can rise each morning with strength. That is how you build a life worth living one day. One honest act, one quiet promise kept at a time,